Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to at the Inside Texas YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I am here in place of Young Cookie, who's traveling back from Atlanta. I've got Justin and Ian with us, and already from the comments, we're feeling all the same thing. John A. says, "Good morning, gents. Already started off the year with a couple of heart attacks. Happy New Year. Obviously, we've got our roaster here, which is great." Brett Nelson, patron saint of the pod, says already talking trash to OSU buddies. Well, it's happening. It's happening. I don't know if. Well, let's just go ahead and have our little outing here, gents. Let's start with you, Ian. From an emotional point of view, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I slept for a very long time last night. Too long. In fact, I've been awake for an embarrassingly short amount of time right now.
Good.
I slept for like 10 or 11 hours or something. So I feel emotionally stable, strong, refreshed. I'm not hopeful, really, but I'm in a good place.
How you doing, Justin?
Yesterday was a long day.
Golly.
We started 2025 off rather uniquely.
Yeah. I think this is. So I don't know how you guys watch this game. The only thing that really kind of gets me is watching these Texas games. I paced a patina in my hardwood floor pretty much back and forth for the better part of 3 hours. It was pretty gnarly. You're gonna have to have some. Oh, Uncle Vance is here. Good to see you. Good morning, Uncle Vance. So glad you're here joining us. So let's talk about it. University of Texas beats Arizona State University. I want to just go ahead and get into some things because obviously this is to me the perspective of the Texas fan is really resonates when we start thinking about this. Your quarterback went 20 for 30, 322 yards at a 67% rate, 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. One of those touchdowns was a rushing touchdown, and a rating of a 183.2. I'm not super into these numbers, Ian, but that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, Quinn cooked Arizona State.
Very much.
Quinn Ewers is the reason that Texas won that game offensively. Defensively, they played a great game on defense, in my opinion. If Arizona State had a normal number of possessions and plays to run, they would have been shut down. But they got like twice as many plays and every, scat. They almost wore themselves out, banging their head against the wall with Scattaboo. Ewers was very sharp. I'll have a post soon on his touchdown passes. He was drilling all the shot plays that Sark had drawn up in this game. I think it was simply a matter of Texas went into this game thinking they'd be able to run the ball again like they did against Clemson, and they could not. And I don't think any of the answers to why are going to be very comforting. I haven't done like a deep analysis of the film yet to see exactly what went wrong, but I think we can guess that this team is just not an amazing rushing offense against good defenses. And if you're a team like Arizona State that wants to stop the run and take your chances against the pass, you can do it. And they almost pulled that off, but not quite.
Justin, we got to see, I think, at least in my assessment, the Quinn that was promised.
Yeah, you did. People think a quarterback has to be perfect. That doesn't exist outside of Patrick Mahomes. It just doesn't. There's no perfect quarterbacks except for him. And, he played well. He threw a pick. People lose their mind. The deep ball just didn't look good. It was suspect. What was it, 3 or 4 attempts that were just purely underthrown? Probably should have had another pick or two. But in the final 5 minutes of regulation and then the 2 overtime periods, Quinn was 11 of 14 for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dude was nails. Ian's right. Texas won because of Quinn Ewers. That was a team that was exactly, in a sense, what we expected. highly confident, playing with house money, throwing the kitchen sink from running back passes to fake punts to everything you could imagine to beat a team that you're an underdog against. Kenny Dillingham and the Arizona State Sun Devils almost pulled that off. They did exactly what the underdog is supposed to do. But man, when Quinn Ewers, when he got into it, that second drive, I mean, that second to the last series of the game, he was nails. And then you got to look on the other side. The DBs had a pretty good night, but that Makuba pick pretty much clinched it. That was it was a good football game, a great playoff game. If you're a fan of the sport, you loved it. If you're a fan of Texas, you're a nervous wreck. If you're a fan of Arizona State, you're probably in a holding cell.
This is for Vance is coming in. So Coach Bedford says you can't beat good teams with isolation routes. Where are the concepts? So I know this was addressed to Justin, but you want to take this one real quick, Ian?
That's a sharp take. So what Vance is saying is that a lot of the Texas offense has been you scheme up a particular receiver to run a double move or a one-on-one, and then Quinn drops back, and he could be Sundance Kid, hit the drop and throw the ball of anticipation of where it needs to go without having to read a lot of coverage. A lot of the Texas offense is like that. Yeah, I don't know if Vance has heard the Sundance Kid analogy yet. But what Vance is saying is that when you play a good team, like, say, Ohio State.
As an example.
Ohio State either erases Matthew Golden with one of their NFL corners, erases. They make all those isolations and anticipatory throws a lot harder by jamming them up, disrupting the timing, and then all of a sudden Quinn has wait a minute, and then everything goes to crap real fast. Or you just bracket them and you take your chances against the other receivers one-on-one, take your chances against the run game with an honest box. Vance, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what Vance is saying is that the kind of passes that Texas used to torch Arizona State are just not going to be there against a high-level defense and high-level secondary like they're about to face. And then they need to be able to go progressions and be like, oh, you're going to bracket this guy? Well, we're going to go to him. You're going to send your help, and then we're going to go 2, 3, and find something else in the weak spots that you left behind. We're going to run the ball.
It's like the NBA running ISO all the time. Texas runs a lot of ISO. and look, they didn't always do that. There were a lot of those complementary routes earlier in the season where you would see Ryan Wingo run a skinny post and he would take the safety with him. And then underneath would be a Matthew Golden, who is always open. Like, he's 7'11", dude. That dude is always open. And so I think there were some concept routes earlier in the year, but they have gotten away from that. And it's a lot of NBA style stuff where we've got the matchup we want, go one-on-one.
And Ian, you've mentioned this before. You know, one of the things that makes Quinn so potent is, you know, he doesn't have to do many reads, to be honest with you. He can just go in there and do those isolation routes. I wonder, and this goes back to what Justin was saying earlier. You know, am I wrong in thinking that in the earlier part of the game we were seeing more mesh concepts and stuff in the middle of the field?
No, I don't think so. I don't know that there's been a lot of that all year. I think all year, Sark is maybe the best play caller in the country at drawing up an enormous volume of like one-read plays. So They have like him and Cliff Kingsbury used to do that. It used to be like no matter who Cliff Kingsbury put in at quarterback at Texas Tech, it didn't matter because he would have all these plays or just be like 1, 2, go, 1, 2, go. And the person would always be open that they were throwing to. Sark is absolutely terrific at it. I think that's been kind of just the thing for 3 years now. Right. And I think that's partly why they've leaned so much into it. I think that is like a major factor in all the issues that drive everyone crazy. Like, why are they so good early in the game and not as good later in the game? Why is there not much there in the fourth quarter? Why is the third quarter always so bad? They hit opponents with all these fresh plays that the opponent hasn't seen yet or anticipated. And then the opponent starts to see what's on the call sheet and figure out who they actually need to cover. And then the well starts to dry up as they can create hesitation and confusion for Texas.
One of the things that Sark mentioned in the press conference, which is, I thought something that is pretty obvious to everybody, is the fact that he really loves to run the ball, especially after you get a lead or certainly in the second half. And he was unable to do that and said point blank that he knew that he had to start throwing the ball more. I mean, do you see going into Ohio State, are we going to see more of a Quinn dominant game in terms of play calling, or do you think he's still going to stick to his guns and try to run those zone reads?
They're going to have a short leash on the run game against Ohio State. If you watch Ohio State against Oregon, who had a zone-based running game as well, it does not look promising for Texas. Ohio State was just stuffing it in the locker. And I don't know that Texas's run game is better than Oregon's. I would guess that it's probably not. So I think you've got to go into this game saying, Texas fans, just brace yourselves now. Texas fans are going to be like, Texas is abandoning the run. We're losing to Ohio State because Sark won't just run the ball. I don't think Texas can run the ball against Ohio State. I think they got a plan on Quinn throwing the ball 40, 50 times to win this game.
If you are, if you're doing some planning and making sure that everything is going the way that you want it to, that's wonderful. But sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to. And when those things come up, you need to talk to Andre.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Ian, Ryan is asking you to rank your scored meter right now. Do you know what this is?
That's scared meter.
Scared meter. Yes. Sorry. Scared meter. Thank you.
I am zen. I'm not scared at all. Losing to Arizona State would have been a disgraceful, dishonorable death. Losing on the field of battle against Ohio State is a good death. I'm ready to accept that fate.
How are you feeling about that, Justin? What's your scared meter?
Oh, I'm trying to become more like Ian. But I felt like I've been like Ian until yesterday. I try to find little bits and pieces of enjoyment during the game, just as we're working, covering it, trying to make sure we've got everything in our peripherals. I didn't get that yesterday at all. I didn't get that at all. It felt like a typical Texas game. Go script, do well early, boom, boom. Team matches up, team comes back. And then on 4th and 13, guys, I got to tell you, I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't. And my 8-year-old was with me for the entire game, sitting beside me. So he got to understand some of the emotion that goes into it. I had zero enjoyment of that. But you know what? After Ian and I went back and forth a little bit last night, I'm going back to the zen with Ohio State because I'm going to temper the expectations. I think Michigan pissed the Buckeyes off, and I'm not sure if they're going to lose again this year. And so I'm going with the zen. I'm going to enjoy Texas getting to this stage, hopefully giving them a great game. But, buddy, I need to be more like Ian. I need to get here because yesterday it was too much here.
Yeah, I completely understand. We've discussed. I don't know if this was on air or not, but Paul and I were discussing how we handle our stress. I've already told you that I tend to pace, and when I'm not pacing, that's generally a problem. But um, I live in a state that enables me to purchase products that help me to calm down, and I was certainly needing those last night. So that was it was a chemical advancement. Let's just call it what it is. So before we move on to Ohio State, I do want to give some cookies to Cam Scadaboo because he came into the game. He was very confident. And early on, I think he was certainly someone that was highlighted by this defense. But man, did he show out! 222 yards, and that's in. Oh, sorry, that's Levitt. Scadabo had 42 yards passing, guys. his quarterback rating right now is 782.8. So Scadabo, 143 yards rushing on 30 attempts, 2 touchdowns. His long was 33 and an average of 4.8. Look, I hated to be on the other side of this, but I got to say, Justin, what a really fun football player to watch.
Hey, his low center of gravity is elite. And, in the NFL, they always look for potential over production. But I think with this guy, I don't know what he's going to run. I don't know how he's going to test. But I'm going to tell you right now, he is a bad man. When he pulled his wallet out, it said BMF. And I believed it. Like, we've had a lot of fun watching him this year.
Oh, yeah.
I've enjoyed watching him. I did not enjoy what he did yesterday, but I appreciated it, not just because that guy was dehydrated. That guy was tired. That guy was throwing up. That guy was giving everything he possibly had. He won offensive MVP from the losing team.
Oh, yeah.
At the Peach Bowl, to give you an idea.
Deservedly so, yeah.
But I got to tell you, when you can run the ball, you can run the ball. And if you're hard to bring down, the first guy is never going to get that guy. Hell, the second guy isn't going to get that guy. He gets so low. There is a place for him in the NFL. He is going to be fun to watch. Maybe even in Valley Ranch up in Dallas. We have no running backs whatsoever. Cam Scadabo has got a fan right here. I liked him during the year because we kind of got to watch him and pay attention to him because he kind of took off. But, man, Cameron was the man. And, look, he almost single-handedly brought those dudes a W. You got to tip your cap to that guy. Best running back Texas has faced this year, probably the best they will face. Again, he is absolute hell to bring down, man. He's so low to the ground. It's pure hell with that guy.
We talked about this a little bit, Ian, going into it. Talk a little bit about Levitt's game because he was there. Obviously, you can talk about Scadabo too, but I do want to give Levitt some cookies as well.
Yeah, we warned y'all. Now, we all thought that Texas would win that game more comfortably, but we did tell you Scadaboo is not Ollie Gordon. Do not go into this thinking that this is the Ollie Gordon 2.0. It looked like that for a second when he was pissed off on the sideline and telling his line to block better and all that, but they never controlled Scadaboo like they controlled Gordon. Levitt, I posted a meme during the game of, like, if you've seen the video of this, like, dad in China or something, he has a roller coaster in his backyard and he's pumping his legs as hard as he can so his kid can go slowly around this roller coaster on a car. That was Levitt keeping their offense going in the first half. He was running for his life from Colin Simmons for 3/4 of that game before the Texas pass rush started to wear down. He was like, how hard he had to work just to have a chance at a 3-yard scramble was unbelievable. His numbers are awful. Texas shut down the passing game. Levitt didn't really do just a ton in the run game either. But, I mean, when you watch it, if you look at the stats, you're like, this guy's a jag. Shouldn't have run his mouth before the game.
Competitor.
If you watch the game, you're like, this guy fought as hard. Their offense is like a Texas high school offense. And Levitt and Scadaboo played like 2 seniors that were playing in their last game for their community ever before they had to move on with their lives.
There was a high school vibe there.
Yeah.
An alma mater for the team. You're right, dude. Levitt was a baller. Hey, his runs were timely. Like when he could get a first down when those runs were timely. He's a gamer. I think he's going to be fun to watch next year. He'll be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 in 2025.
Oh yeah.
And plus they'll get Jordan Tyson back. Guys, I got to tell you, I felt like they were beating Arizona State almost with a hand behind their back because Jordan Tyson is their top receiver by far. And he's been out for the last, I think, 3 or 4 games. And so I think that made an impression. But Levitt was going to run for his life most of that game anyway.
And again, because I think it's appropriate that we do this. I just want to stick with Arizona State just a little bit more and talk about their coach. How long do you think they're able to keep him? I mean, Eric mentioned he might be an NFL guy.
Oh, well, that's his alma mater. They just signed him to an extension that pays him within the top of the Big 12, and the Big 12 has a few fairly serious programs. So that's that. I'm guessing that's like in the $3 to $5 million range. You would think that other schools might try and poach him in a year or two, like Oklahoma or, I don't know, whoever else is not so happy with how things are going. But I don't know. It seems like it's going to be tough to pry out of there. He seems like he's happy to make the most of Arizona State and do what he can there within his own community before he moves on.
NFL, he has a college vibe to him.
NFL is interesting. I would think that college is a better fit for him, but
especially in his youth. NFL, if he wins enough, the NFL will bang down your door. But I get a college vibe from him. I think he's good for the game. I think he's good for the sport, especially in this NIL portal era. He's proven you can bring in it was almost like they were the Florida State from 2 years ago. Where they brought in just the right mix of guys and got just the right mix of maximization of the talent that was on the roster currently. And it was like a perfect storm. I don't know if I think Kenny's great, and I think they're going to continue to do things well in Arizona State, but I think he's got a lot of skins on the wall left to trap when it comes to college football.
Oh, that's a great comp. One thing, though, is that teams always fall into this trap where they like recruit the hungry 3-stars, and then they build a champion with like a few blue chips and a bunch of hungry 3-stars, or you recruit the proven G5 guys out of the portal, and then you build a hungry, cohesive team with those guys. And then now you have profile. And then you're like, okay, now I'm going to go get the 4-stars, and now I'm going to go get the blue chips that didn't make it at another school. And we've proven that our culture is a winning culture, and we're going to flip it around. And then you get all those malcontents into your program, and then you tank. Like, I see it so many times, either with who you target in recruiting or who you target in the portal. But so Florida State fell into that. They just jumped into that trap.
Yeah.
They went from like G5 defensive tackle who was like torching everybody's offensive line to
Jared Hurst.
Yeah. The thing with Arizona State is that unless they've got like Charlie Kirk or somebody out there in Arizona pouring money into their program, that's not really an option for them. They're going to keep having to go find the right hungry kids, the right Cam Scadaboos that are overlooked, and people like that. I don't know if they're going to have the resources to jump in the trap, even if they wanted to.
They showed a little clip real quick, LC. They showed a little clip after the game of Arch Manning going over and dapping up Scadaboo, giving him love for a great game. And I had this little vision of him whispering in, "You still have 1 year of eligibility. Come be my running back in Austin." Right. Can you imagine that dude toting the rock in the ATX? He would be a NIL superstar.
Oh, yeah.
Austin. But that kid's going to the league, preferably the Dallas Cowboys.
We want to we're going to move over now to there's a lot of great stuff in the comments. We want to get to that, but before we do, I want to talk to you about Game Time. So Texas is going back to the Cotton Bowl, and we want you to use Game Time to secure your college football playoff tickets today. So what you need to do is you need to download the Game Time app or go to gametime.co. That's not com. gametime.co and see the ticket options. I was just there this morning looking at them, trying to find my way to Dallas this next weekend. And Game Time makes it easy to find the best deals, and Game Time's transparent, all-in pricing is what's really going to help you there. That feature gets rid of any annoying hidden fees. You can see everything that you're going to be paying from the beginning, so there's no surprises at the end. And if you're a fan of pro sports too, which I know most of you are, you can find NFL, NBA, NHL too. So use the promo code ON3 and you're going to get $20. That's not a percentage, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply with Game Time. Your tickets are guaranteed to be on time and authentic. And on top of that, they do a price guarantee. So if you find a lower price elsewhere, Game Time is going to make up the difference, 110% of that difference. So go get the Game Time app or go to gametime.co and use the promo code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. All right. We've got a super chat in here.
You forgot.
What I forget, sir?
There's one more line that goes behind Game Time.
Oh, $20 off.
I got it. Hey, Justin, what time is it?
It's Game Time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I was filling in for Joe, and I'm.
It's so funny because Joe and I have been doing that, and then I've seen commercials.
And
it's the same thing. They do the same thing on the television commercials. So Joe and I started something. We're trendy.
Yeah, okay. No, well, 100%. I've never doubted that you guys were on the vanguard of trends. So that's really good to know. All right, AR is asking, thank you for the super chat, AR, $5. I understand Sark loves zone, but is there a reason we don't utilize pistol, more downhill running to neutralize ASU D-line speed while being undersized? Is this applicable moving forward, or I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Ian?
They do use the pistol.
Yeah.
So it's not the problem.
Didn't they use pistol on that run in the end zone that turned into a safety? Wasn't that pistol?
It might have been. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He put hat on the ball. Whew, that could have been bad.
I had forgotten that guy was suspended in the first half for also a bad
launching. For
a targeting. I feel like he should have been off the hook.
Failure to launch.
So Coach Bedford brings up that OSU is similar to Texas in talent and scheme. OSU will run the ball downhill, and they went outside. When outside zone doesn't work, Texas doesn't do that.
They try.
They try. And
there's the effort.
The effort is there, but not the execution. What is? And I know you mentioned you're going to talk about this a little bit, Ian. But why can't we do that?
They're not good at it.
That's just it.
I mean, I think some of their players are better at the reach blocks of outside zone and not as good at driving people. I think that Texas sometimes suffers in that they have a very wide playbook with a lot of different run concepts. And I don't know that they master any of them to the degree that like another normal college school would major in like 2 or 3. They're really good at those.
Yeah.
I don't know that Texas ever achieves that mastery because of the multiplicity. They're like, oh, if this doesn't work, we're gonna pop you for this. And,
the jack of all trades, master of none mindset.
Yes. I think Texas falls into that on the run game, and it hurts them against top teams. They also, if you have Bijan, if Texas had Bijan, they'd win the national championship this year. Like we're not trying to diss Trey Wisner, who went from special team star to carrying this team to the SEC championship game
to 1,000-yard season.
And 1,000-yard season is a credit to Trey Wisner. That's going to be like one of the stories.
He didn't even start half the year.
But we all know he's not Bijan.
Yeah.
Bijan could make a lot of his stuff work.
Bijan ran on gummy bear juice. He just
they also have guys.
Remember that cartoon in the 80s, the gummy bears?
100%.
That's how Bijan just bounce.
I mean, that's how I survived that game last night was gummy bear juice. Let's talk about Ohio State. Has Ohio State seen a defense like ours?
I mean, what does that even mean?
I think everybody's looking for the comp. So look, Oregon, let's be honest.
As good. have they seen a defense as good as Texas?
That's
I
probably
think
what
that's
he means,
where
right?
Sandman's coming from.
Yeah.
They're pretty close. I mean, Oregon had pretty good numbers going into this game. Tennessee had really good numbers. I think Texas is better defense than Tennessee, but Tennessee had really, really good defensive numbers going into that game. Michigan, I don't know if Texas may be the best defense that Ohio State has played this season. But try to practice they have. Ohio State's defense is good. They're not going to come into this game and be like, what is going on? These guys are from another planet.
Right.
I can tell you that much. Michigan also, I think Vance has either made or will make comments on this. Michigan is so inside of Ohio State's head, and they know exactly the right game plan to play on defense. Yep, they have. I mean, Michigan just plays cover 6 half the game on Ohio State and just hangs back, brackets Jeremiah Smith, and then dares Ohio State to run the ball, and Ohio State can't. If Ohio State looks like Texas against Arizona State, they're like, oh, I guess we should run the ball, and then they can't. So I kind of think Michigan was a bigger challenge for Ohio State to get over that mental hump, to get over that strategic hump, and then to do it in whatever the weather was, like 30, 40 degrees outdoors. I think that was a more tough challenge than Texas and the Cotton Bowl will be. Not even the Cotton Bowl, the climate-controlled AT&T, right? Yeah.
Whatever the weather is outside, it's going to be nice inside that stadium. I was in there a couple of weeks ago. It's nice.
So Justin, I was checking the Game Time app this morning, and they have that section there, which is the standing room only section. What's that like? Is that a decent section?
That is pure, unadulterated hell.
Okay, sweet.
What that is. You should see them come in for the Cowboys games. I mean, it's a section of the stadium where they have to line up, get in line, and then when that gate opens, it looks like Black Friday in a mall. Like, it's just a rush of people who have been boozing all morning long, and they run to this guard rail, which, that little area that they have, and I've seen it from a distance, but there's no way I'm going into Thunderdome. It's not. If you want to go enjoy the game, in a family atmosphere, no. If you're by yourself, a couple buddies, you got a couple bucks, you don't mind standing for 5.5 hours, it could be a good time. But just that's Jerry Jones's way of, let me get as much money from the low bracket as possible without having to actually give them a seat and space in this stadium. And it works.
Again, there's some really good questions coming on defense here, and they're very important. I want to get to them. But Justin is a local expert for me on this subject. Do they still have the ladies dancing in cages at Jerry World? I remember that being a feature when the stadium opened.
They did, but in 2020, they took it out, and they put in these big red buckets for Salvation Army. And so they took away the cages, because we had to change everything in 2020. And so they took away the cages, but New Year, we might bring them back.
Bringing
America back. So we might bring
them
back.
Hell of a gear shift.
But I got to tell you, if you were ever in the old Texas Stadium, man, a cage would have been nice, because that place did not age well. That's where I've seen a lot of my Cowboys football games was in Texas Stadium. And
it's a little known fact that Trump expanded his margin in Texas by running targeted Facebook ads that just said, "Bring back the cages, Trump 2024."
It was a success.
It was a great
success.
That is absolutely amazing.
Again, Jerry, you're right. Jerry doesn't want to win football games. Jerry wants to win in that bank account.
So one of the questions that, again, I think this is early on. We've got a little over a week for this game. And, people are looking for comps, Ian. and what one of the comps is how do we compare to this is Burt Reynolds Jr. Big fan of your dad. Is our defense similar to Michigan's defense last year? Again, comps are easier for folks to understand.
Much better secondary.
Than last year? I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Will Johnson and Keon Sabb. Who else?
I mean, that was already a lot of firepower right there. The other guy that blew his ACL out and missed this season.
Yeah, I think Texas matches the secondary a lot better. D-line, I mean, the D-line's salty too, but
yeah, Michigan's better.
Yeah,
they're close, but Texas is actually really similar to Washington's defense last year. They're more talented, but stylistically and approach and where the best players are, it's very similar to the last year's Husky defense.
Justin, and I know you're not a betting
Sanders
man.
still, yeah, Mike Sanders still, the nickel. He's twice the player Gilbo is. No offense to Gilbo.
What
Michael Taff of that defense,
right?
Sanders still's like starting in the NFL right now. I don't know if our buddy Michael's going to do that.
That's a good come up.
What, Justin, if you were a betting man, do you think this game stays within 6.5 points?
Yeah. Like I think you'll have a lot of bets go one side, and it might go back to 6, 5.5, 5. I think it stays in that range. I don't think it'll go any lower than that, and I don't think it's going to go over a touchdown. It'll just be it'll sway because of where the bets are coming in, but I anticipate it staying in that 5 to 7 range. I don't think it'll be more than that because I do think Ohio State might be about on paper maybe a touchdown better. It seems like a legit line. I think we had a projected line a few days before the game or a few hours before the game that talked about Texas would be -2, and that was before they saw what Ohio State did to Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And so, yeah, I think it's going to stay, depending on where the money goes, it's going to stay in that 5 to 7 range. I think that's about right. I think Ohio State on paper is probably a touchdown better.
Ian, do you think the game itself is going to stay within a touchdown?
Probably not.
You thinking of a few more touchdowns?
I don't know. I think my wife.
Listen, Michigan opened a box, guys, that we're not closing.
My wife asked me last night. She's like, "What will the score be in that game?" And I was like, "Probably like 35-21, something like that."
Matt is asking. So let's try to keep this on the positive here for a second. So what are our thoughts here? And I'm giving this one to you, Ian. Matt is asking the thoughts on going up tempo for a few drives against OSU. It feels like Quinn is at his best in those 2-minute type situations. Sark should start the first drive of the third quarter going tempo. Thoughts there, Ian?
Tempo is. Tom Herman always used to wrestle with this.
Yeah.
And he would say in the post game, he'd be like, we should be able to move the ball on offense without using tempo at the University of Texas. There's trade-offs. If you start using a lot of tempo, then guess what? That means you get the ball back to Jeremiah Smith faster. Also, tempo works when you get the initial first down. If you don't get the initial first down, like you can't tempo out of the locker room.
2nd and 8.
You can't tempo 2nd and 8. Tempo works. You get that first down, and then you start moving, and then you start to tire out their defense, and they start to look over for the line call while they're jogging into place. That's when it's effective. And Texas is, what did they like? Came out of halftime and took a sack.
Right.
So I mean, that wasn't going to help much there. They could use it some. I'm sure they will use it some. I think that just feeds into what I was saying earlier, where they probably need Quinn to throw the ball 40, 50 times in this game and use the run game as just a change-up. And if you do that, then tempo is effective. You want to try to get Gunnar Helm and Jaden Blue on linebackers and throw quick passes and keep the chains moving and hurry. So They could do that, but then that's going to come at the expense of they're not going to methodically hammer Ohio State with the run game if they're doing that.
David Yancey's coming in here with the super chat for $1.99. We really appreciate that, David. And he's obviously referring to our friend Levitt, who said, "I'm better than yours," and then throws a game-ending interception. With these super chats, as you well know, that goes towards Ian's minivan fund. Where are we on that, Ian? Do you guys have your minivan? How's it going?
The Town and Country is doing a lot better now that it's not 100 degrees.
Okay.
So we're in a holding pattern right now. I'm just still using the Town and Country.
That is a Chrysler product for those playing at home. So what we are curious here is about, again, the defense. I'm really curious about the AR is asking. I'm really curious about the defensive approach because I don't think PK lets his what is that? I can't even read that. Lets his
corners travel.
Yeah, thank you. What are your thoughts on that?
They traveled against Michigan, I'm pretty sure. There was some game this year where I was trying to find Jahdae Barron, and he was just wherever the other team's best receiver was. So so I think what he's getting at is, can Texas just put the Thorpe Award winner, Jahdae Barron, on Jeremiah Smith? The problem is that Jeremiah Smith is 9 feet tall and has lightning bolt coming out of his butt.
Wow.
And it's a tough matchup, even for the Thorpe Award winner.
I feel like I would have read about that. Okay.
It's a tough matchup against an NFL corner.
You'll read about it this week, I think.
Oh, great. And you can read about it
the next 9 days.
Yeah. Join us at InsideTexas.com for all the lightning bolts coming out of your butt information that you might need. Going forward here, guys, we do have a little over a week to prepare for this. So let's play, and maybe Coach Vance wants to jump in on this a little bit. We've kind of scratched the surface a little bit on this, but I'll start with you, Justin, and then we'll go to you, Ian. If you are game planning, and you've already mentioned this a little bit, Ian, but throwing the ball 40 plus times, how are you prepping for this week, Justin?
If I'm game planning against Ohio State, throwing the pill all over the field, there's this old term in basketball called a box and one, and it's essentially a zone where you have 4 corners in the top of the lane, each side of the lane, and then you've got one guy that chases the best score. He chases the best. Doesn't matter what he's doing. He face guards him. Doesn't do help side defense. His job is just that guy. I would try to come up with the college football version of a box and one for Jeremiah. Here's the thing. Ohio State has other NFL wide receivers.
Right.
Like 3 or 4, what Brandon Ennis, Emeka Ebugi, like they've got guys that are going to catch the ball on Sundays. And so it's one of those pick your poison kind of deals. It reminds me of Ohio State when they came into Austin in 2006. Hey, do whatever you can to take away Ted Ginn. You got to take away Ted Ginn. I don't know if Santonio Holmes was still on that team or if he had gotten drafted the next year, but you got to take care of that Ginn. Well, guess what? The number 3 wide receiver had a career day, Anthony Gonzalez, which turned into an NFL career. And so I would do the NFL version of a box and one. But then again, man, then they're going to turn around and run the ball. They've got a 2-headed monster in Travion Henderson and Quinson Judkins. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle that, man, because that this is where PK and those boys are going to earn their money.
Michigan plays a box and one against Ohio State. It's what they've been doing for 4 years.
Do they really?
And, you can do the Belichick.
Is there a term for it in college terms? So
well, they play cover 6.
Terms.
They play cover 6. They play cover 2 to one side of the field and quarters to the other. And they play cover 2 to guess which side of the field. Whichever side has Jeremiah Smith. And I think you could do it like Belichick used to do this, where you don't put Barron on Jeremiah Smith. You put Muhammad and Taff. And then you have Jahdae Barron on their number 2 receiver. So they look to Will Howard and it's like, well, they look to Jeremiah and it's like, well, Will Howard is double covered. Okay. So I'll just go to my number 2. Oh, wait. Now my number 2 is blanketed by the Thorpe.
Right.
That's I don't know if PK will do that. But that's the play. That's what you should do.
I want to, if you're thinking about making a play in the world of real estate, meet our friend Laura
Hi,
Baker.
I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
Ian, Ryan is asking, or saying rather, our D-line has to dominate this game. And it's the word dominate, I think, that is really piquing my ears. Is that possible? Is it possible for this defensive line to dominate their O-line?
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably not, but they maybe.
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, they're better. They're better in the pass rush than they are just shutting down the run game.
They're better with their edges, aren't they? Like Jack Sawyer and those guys. Isn't that really where they get their bread?
They're saying our D line.
Oh! You're right. Sorry.
They really need a huge game from Broughton and Collins and Lillay and Norton to match the Michigan strategy. I think Michigan was led in tackles by Graham, the big white defensive tackle.
Mason Graham
had like 7 tackles and just took away the Ohio State run game by himself.
A lot for a defensive lineman.
That's not going to happen probably from Broughton or Collins, but
let them split it.
You don't have to hold Ohio State to 13 or whatever Michigan did. If you can just hold them to 20, you might have a chance.
Yeah.
Roaster again donating to the phone. Thank you so much for Roaster. Roaster. Howard is not a dual threat. This will have to be a big game for our edge rushers. The OSU O-line is their Achilles heel, if there is one. What are your thoughts on that, Justin?
I think you can get to Will Howard and fluster him. We saw that, was it last year, Ian, where Texas did pretty well in the first half, maybe even the first 3 quarters against Will Howard when he was at Kansas State. Then the fourth quarter, a different Will Howard kind of emerged, played well, almost brought him back. He's got some gamer to him, but he really is a statue in the pocket. Like, that's not a guy – when you see him have to start going through his mind, do I need to run? Do I need to escape the pocket? Do I need to that's when you get him, because I don't think he processes that fast. It's a lot easier when it's 1-2 reach to one of these All-American receivers. It's different when something breaks down and he has to do something off platform. Whereas Levitt would be tremendous at that. I think Will Howard is more of a pocket guy. And so I don't know which one Texas is going to see. I feel like they're going to see a little bit of both of the one they saw last year for K-State.
Ian?
He's not the biggest problem in this game, but he's a veteran. He can move around a little bit. If this game looks like the Arizona State game where Colin Simmons is in the backfield in 2 seconds every play, Texas has an amazing chance to win this game. But it probably won't. It probably won't look that good.
So here we go, guys. We've done a good job of avoiding this topic all the way up to here, in spite of the fact that this is the topic before we started our broadcast today. But Eric Mitchell is just going to bring it up with a $9.99 super chat. Again, coming away from a Chrysler product to a Honda or a Toyota is no easy task, and we do appreciate you with these donations. They really do help. And here is Eric's comment. Morning, fellas. Is it just me, or are the targeting debates getting ridiculous? How do these people want the officials to decide the game? Ian's been fighting the good fight with me on Twitter, X. The hate is real. So, yeah, Ian, let's talk about this as much as you can, because you've been very outspoken on that particular platform, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it here.
Targeting is stupid. Everyone that wants any subjective call to be ruled as targeting is a loser. that should just quit and go watch.
I'm raising the roof because these are outstanding takes.
Just go watch soccer.
Yeah, if you want to be
Go
soft.
watch soccer.
Yeah.
They also, just for the record, it does not matter by rule. If you read the rule book, which I've done about 100 times because I've had 30 different people on X tell me I'm an idiot and then show me the rules. So I've read them many times.
Yeah.
And in the rules, it says you can't hit a defenseless player. You cannot target a defenseless player in the head or neck area. But the key word is it says you cannot target them. Everyone is acting like if one guy hits another guy and the guy who's being hit is hit in the head or neck, then it's targeting. Done. Over. No.
That's wrong.
It has to be targeted. Now you ask, what does it mean to target someone in the head or neck area? Okay. Then there's a list of things that they tell officials to review for that they call indicators. None of them, Taff is not clearly guilty of any of the indicators for targeting. He doesn't hit with the crown of his helmet. His face is up. He hits him. It's like a form tackle. It's bang, bang. The guy catches it. Taff is trying to get there and make a play on the ball, make a play when the ball arrives. Hits him face to face, basically. Maybe the forehead of Taff hits the guy in the face, whatever. It happens. It's incidental. You want him to go for his knees? Is that what we think is going to be better and safer for this game? Go watch soccer.
Ian's right. I love when Ian preaches. Ian is 100% right.
Hey, Blake,
First of all, targeting is not real.
Blake,
Because
this
every
softness
team-
is why you can't beat Michigan. This softness is why you can't beat Michigan.
Blake is having a hard time with this. And the other thing that was not mentioned, that hasn't been mentioned, is the targeting call that was a non-call on Bond, which to me, that guy's, if you want to talk about a defenseless player, that person was 100% defenseless and took it straight in the noggin. But hey, guys, we're here. It's clear that some people have some very passionate feelings about this, and it's good. It's good. It's good. We get the opportunity to out these things. This is the environment for it.
Everybody wants to argue. Like
Yep.
They wake up with the urge to go on social media and disagree. I mean, why be harmonious and melodic and think about the same like things? Why not? No, because we have to argue, because everything is a conspiracy and everything is the negative side of something. And that game had so many calls. Listen, Texas got some calls in that game. And
Absolutely.
so did Arizona State. And guess what that is? That's life. Sometimes you're going to get some of these calls. Sometimes you're not. I'm teaching my son about this in sports right now. Hey, man, sometimes you're going to get a call by the ref. Sometimes they're going to hack you and you're not going to get it. My 8-year-old understands this better than 90% of Twitter. And so, and my favorite thing, and I'll let this go, my favorite thing is when they go, it's textbook, without reading the goddamn textbook. People,
It is, first of all, having your son smarter than Twitter is an incredibly low bar. He is much smarter than that. Twitter is a place where people just love to self-identify as ear-biting idiots, but they love to do it anyway, and they're all over it. So, and again, I want to thank all the people watching us on Twitter right now. Go ahead and follow the person you're watching on this, but moreover, come over to Inside Texas Football on YouTube and give us a like or a subscribe. Frankly, if you're watching this on Twitter or X, you're clearly not one of those people. You're in the elite minority, and we really do appreciate that. Oh, Eric is back with $4.99. I got to tell you guys, we are getting closer and closer to a late model Toyota Sienna. Say what you want, but we can always count on Ian for the unemotional statement of facts and the reality of the situation. This is a gratitude post for you, Ian. He is saying, thank you, Ian. Thank you for expressing your thoughts on this with people hitting each other in the head. It's a really nice opportunity for that. And again, for those of you that don't know, Ian does have 12 children. Got to get him from point A to point B. So if we can get that minivan in there, that would be really, really great.
And let's not overlook the Aztec.
Right.
Okay.
Vance,
we can
Coach
bring
Vance
back
is
that
asking,
champion. We can bring back that champion piece of metal.
Coach Vance Bedford, who has been an absolute gem this broadcast in the chat and has joined us before, is asking, how do you find us on YouTube? Well, here's what you do, guys. You go to YouTube and you search Inside Texas Football, and you are going to see our beautiful little orange logo there. Hit a like and subscribe, and that really does help us out. We started this channel very organically at the beginning of the year with, let's face it, very few people watching. We're up over 15,000 subscribers. So that's purely a testament to you guys. And again, for those folks that are watching on X or Twitter, if you can join us over here and give us that like and subscribe, it really does help us out. But thank you so much. I hope that answered your question, Coach. Moving forward here, we've just got a few more things to get through. I'm wondering, so Ian, let's just give the people a little bit of a preview of what they might expect when they join us at InsideTexas.com. And we hope that you do join us at InsideTexas.com, and we're going to try to make it super easy for you, because we're going to give you an opportunity. If you can go to InsideTexas.com, you can join us. We've got a whole bunch of great writing going on, but what should they expect going into this week? What kind of articles are you looking to write this week, Ian?
Black pill articles about the red run game, warning indicators about the quality of Ohio State and how they're playing right now. We'll have some. I don't have a lot to sell right now. Eric is going to do a lot on transfer portal. The transfer portal is really about to start picking up. All these teams are getting eliminated that have players that may be interested in transferring. There's going to be like a mix of off-season and next year look-aheads, and then obviously this game against Ohio State. Me and Vance have been watching Michigan beat Ohio State for 4 years in a row now. And so maybe Vance will help me write these articles, probably not. We have a good idea. I have a good idea of what it takes to beat Ohio State because I've seen it so many times. I will explain it. I will describe what Texas needs to do to win this game, and then we'll see if that happens or not.
We'll have a little bit of recruiting as well as we jump into the 2026 class, coming off of the #1 recruiting class in 2025. We got some all-star games. The Under Armour game, very, very close. The Navy All-American game down in San Antonio, we'll be down there covering that over the next week and a half. That's something else to keep on the docket. And so it's a little bit of everything at InsideTexas.com, and Texas is in the Final Four. So let's get crazy.
I do. This has been a little bit more of a morose show than it probably should be, because let's face it, guys, we won a football game. And that's really great news. We're going to be in mid-January playing meaningful football, which I think is fantastic for those of you that are fans out there, which I hope that you are. That's why you would be joining us on this particular site. But having meaningful football in the middle of January, I think, is an awesome thing. I'm really grateful for that, in spite of the fact that I probably had a myocardial infarction last night trying to watch this thing. But we got there. We got there in the end. And we want to thank you for being here with us. Follow us this week. Again, a lot of stuff going to be happening this week, breaking down this Ohio State game. Join us at InsideTexas.com for all of the articles on certainly the breakdown on Ohio State and any recruiting news. For Ian, Justin, and myself, thank you guys so much. Take care.